somebody on cancer. People say to me sometimes, you think you're cancer? I'm like, first off, I'm not connected with a major network.
Right.
I'm not connected with no corporate sponsors. So my only boss is the people that work hard, pay their money, come see you, and they can't cancel you for that.
Well, I do have, I am on television. I work with a guy that got the ears.
Right. I spoke on me. I just and you said that your face looked like,
No.
You know what? He speaks for himself.
I did not approve the message that Mr. Rawlings delivered earlier.
Go back, look up the name.
Okay. All I just said, yeah.
Bro, thanks for stopping by, man. That's what I told you.
It's cold outside today, man.
I said, I'm doing Shannon show. She said, well, don't get crazy. And she told me, don't drink the yak. But I'm in a profession right now where I don't have any discipline, so.
I've already did like 2 sets, so we're gonna probably do one more set and we're gonna move on.
Just to see you to be jolly.
Everything that you've done in the industry, continued success, bro. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. And, right. That is smooth though. You got fancy sifters too.
Yeah.
That's the next level.
We're gonna send you off. We're gonna send you a couple bottles with you.
Yeah, I saw this clip on the other day. You can send me home with something else too. I'm just saying, I didn't keep it. People upstairs. He didn't keep it.
No, I didn't keep it.
I was like, dude, I said, you want to come back the week after? I said, give me some remnants. You part-time? But I just want to say this. All the questions to be politically correct, to be part-time, do I get high? Yes. Yeah. Do I smoke what? Do I smoke a fatty? In some cases I do.
You do?
And I don't, but the thing is, I'm not like some people like they smoke just to get lit.
Right.
I like it, and then even if my preference is like hybrids, heavier on the sativa side.
Right.
I like stuff that make me feel creative or make me want to write. But I don't like to like smoke a joint and just let it.
Yeah, we have to face down.
So you partake?
No.
It's gonna be checked.
You from the DMV?
Yes.
Queen from the DMV?
Yes.
Martin Lawrence, Wanda Sykes, Chappelle, Tommy Davidson. What is in the water? What's in the soil? How do you get all these guys from that little one central location?
I think you have that in different cities. Atlanta's a good market. Chicago's a good market. Joe Rogan has made Austin a good market. But I think that when that crew, you miss a couple of people. Good friend of mine, my mentor, the Fat Doctor.
Okay.
It's just something about the people that we really believe in being good stand-ups.
Okay.
And we learn from like craftsmen. You know what I'm saying? Now today, you know, the comedy's going to a way where people go up there and ask like crowd questions and everything. I don't think that that's the best form of stand-up, but it's getting paid. But we used to come up, we came up behind Marcus, Tommy Davidson. So we used to go to those shows. We wanted to be good.
The last one felt kind of good, so I think I'm gonna do one more.
Back and study. Young comics,
One more set of that.
we used to sit in the back and study.
And then I'm gonna pop on these cables over here.
What is he working on? How much time does he have? Is he good at some of the crowd work? Is he a good storyteller? So when you have people like that you're coming behind, you have no choice but to be a good comic because you're coming behind some of the best people to do it. And and it's funny that you said, everybody that's on the list is still actively doing it. And we're talking like guys that have years, careers of 25, 30, 40 years, still relevant and still making people laugh.
I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, I noticed a lot of the young and up and coming comedians, they're like lean heavily on the skits. And the older guys didn't really do a whole lot of skits. You got up there with a microphone, you had a stool, and you told jokes, you walked the room, you appealed to the crowd. You notice the difference in how stand-up is being?
I noticed the difference, but I will say it's involved. And the reason why was that we didn't have access to what kids have today to go up. I had a conversation with a comic maybe like 7 years ago. She said, I'm a comedian, I want to see some of your stuff. And she went to YouTube and she said, well, I do these skits. And I said, that's not being a comedian. She said, yes, it is. I said, no, it's not. But then she broke open the Webster dictionary definition, one who entertains a crowd with humor. So when I started, it wasn't the sketch stuff. So when you say comedian, you only associate it with stand-up. Now you're telling jokes, but now it's a whole different thing. The only thing, the thing about it is I'm like a real artist is. I believe in it. And you see some of the younger guys that get on real quick, and you're like, well, I like them when doing their skits, but not doing stand-up. I just wish that some of them just would respect the art enough to take it a little bit more serious and want to be a craftsman of it. But when I first started, if you wanted to get pussy, if you wanted to get money, and you wanted to get fame, you had to be good first.
Right.
You had to be good before the money came, you had to be good before the girls came, you had to be good before the fame came. But now, you got somebody who can go viral real quick, don't have that skill set. So how do you tell a younger comic, you know what, you need to work on this? And when he look at his YouTube money, and it's like this, I just made $300,000, but I don't care about being good right now. I care about getting this money. But then you have some people that break away from it, that take the tools of being able to do stuff on the internet and also work on being good stand-ups too.
But let me ask you this, when you're skit driven, is that sustainable? Because, I mean, now you can see some of you guys who also, you came up in the stand-up game where you told jokes, you work the room, but you could also do skits. But do you believe if you start with skits first, is that sustainable?
It's sustainable because you don't get the money fast.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, what most people doing it for the cash. You don't have to do skits for 10 or 15 years. You got some of these guys who get a hit for 2 years, and then investing money right there. They're good. But the one thing, when I first started to stand up, and then I realized that a lot of the jokes that I was doing was three-dimensional. They was like characters.
Right.
They had storylines. So, and I'm talking about maybe like 30 years ago. So I said, what I want to do is take my jokes,
make my water.
them characters.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I had a sketch group years ago called Secret Society.
Okay.
Grant was in that sketch group. A good friend of mine, yeah, I know. And he told me everybody in Shannon came to college, only had 2 shirts and 2 pairs of pants. That's what he said. And then he said he's also back then, that's when he used to watch, you wear his watch to tell time. But he said, they said, I'm ball game now. I'm chill. I'm telling you. But then I had a nice play coach. Yeah, I know. You made me feel, you just spoke. What was the question? The end of
The
it.
sustainability with skits.
Oh, I had stuff with me, Ray Grant was.
So that last time I was on my knees, I'm trying to sit on my butt this time to see if it feel a little bit better.
We were doing sketch back then. We had a game before the Chappelle show even existed. I had to I looked into the future. I was like, all right, I'm gonna bring this super group together. It was like 12 of us. And I knew the group wasn't gonna last long because anytime you got 12 different personalities, it's always gonna change a lot. It's always gonna change. Well, when I realized, I felt like it was like Wu-Tang of sketch. I was like, I knew it wasn't all stay together. I knew that we had people that kind of were stronger on the producer side, stronger on the writing side and the actor side. In fact, my manager at the time, she said, Donald, I think that group is about to fall apart. And I was like, it's designed to fall apart. But if it wasn't for us coming in like this, we wouldn't have the platform for people to see what we do. But you can sustain a career with just doing sketches because people are coming out just for that. Not in these years, but I thought somebody can make millions of dollars in 2 or 3 years just sitting on stage, having a podcast and talking. So comedy, the way it's perceived and how you can make it work for you, it's evolved. There's so many different lanes over there.
Well, I think the comics in the past, compared to today's comics, you guys, they had a very seedy past. They had a very, like, you look at Pryor, and you hear Miss Pat tell her story, and she's almost like an old school comic, the heartbreak and the disappointment that she's had. And what
outside
today, they're really able to take true events and make them funny.
Yes.
And that's how they're able to get over the trauma and the
Cold
pain
outside
that they're dealing with. Do you notice that the comics today are a lot different? Their past, you know, a lot different than you guys
To get there,
Yeah.
I think that, I don't want to say it's easier, but you have different avenues. When I came up, first off, on the stand-up side, it was almost impossible to be seen as a black comic because you only had a couple of them. You had the David Letterman show, Johnny Carson, I'm talking about way back in the day.
Yeah, right.
And then if you look at the list of comics, they used to do that, it was all white comics. You might have one black comic every couple of years. That's why it was a good thing that Def Comedy Jam came, because there was a group of comics, it was a chicken circuit, it was underground, but they weren't being seen. But I think that now, your phone, man, I tell anybody, your phone can just blow you up. And everybody in this business, they make excuses, but at the end of the day, you can have a little bit of talent. But if you got the right work ethics, you can make it happen for yourself. When I started at ABC, CBS, and NBC, HBO would give a special every 2 years, but how many people got opportunity at? So the people that sit back and complain about what they can't do, my dad told me a long time ago, you got two excuses, a good excuse and a bad excuse. And then the day, your success is dependent on how hard you work, and you can get it. There's too many examples of they get it with the right work ethic.
Would you consider DC the funniest city? You mentioned New York, but when you look at per capita, you look at the DMV and how small it is compared to a Chicago, compared to a New York and some of these other major cities.
Everybody got their bosses, everybody got these people. But I think pound for pound, DC is one of the best cities that had comics that not just got out for a minute, but then just sustain themselves in this business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can make arguments with Chicago, big comics that come out here. When we talk about the people that's been on the small screen, the big screen, that had success just touring, I think hands down DC is one of the best cities.
You look at Martin, been on television and in the movie. You look at Dave Chappelle, television and movie. Tommy Davidson, television and movie. Wanda Sykes, television and movie. Now, when you got into this, because you see the transition, you see Richard Pryor was a stand-up, did television. Eddie Murphy was stand-up, did television.
Right.
Is that the natural progression to most, I can't say all, Kevin Hart, can't say all, there's no such thing as all and every, but do a lot of comedians get into stand-up with the hopes and dreams, aspirations of doing television?
I think a lot of them, that's the ultimate goal. But I also think that at the end of the day, I look at my career, whether I put another film project, television project, I can do something myself where I can put my name on the marquee and make some good money for the rest of my life. Okay. I think that's the evolution for some people, but not all people. And some people, it was like the stand-up was just the platform and the setup to be an actor. Chris Tucker, when Chris Tucker first started, everybody knew when Chris Tucker first started, he probably had 10 minutes of fire set. You know what I'm saying? But when you saw Chris Tucker perform Def Jam, when he came out just talk, man. I'm so broken. Rob Beaton, just be practice. You knew you wasn't just looking at stand-up, you was looking at a movie star.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was one of those guys. And Martin Lawrence is a great stand-up. But when you look at Martin Lawrence, you could see him in the television show. You could see him in a movie. But for everybody, it doesn't work out like that.
Right.
Everybody has, some people don't care to be film, TV. They just want to be able to make an honest living doing something they love. And how many professionals, how many people get an opportunity to actually call their own shots, they're their own boss, do what they want to do and make a good living? Not too many. Right. And back to you look at the era, the Def Jam era, the era of all the with the nicknames and everything. I would say everybody perform on Def Jam, it's probably 5 or 10% of those people that are actively working, because people will still go pay the price to go see.
NFL playoffs. We're talking about NFL playoffs. You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is the key to winning NFL playoffs, and the key to you scoring big, betting on them at DraftKings. The #1 place bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something as simple as a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, make your pick. Here's another reason to bet your favorite players crushing in the playoffs. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big through the NFL playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code Shannon. That's code Shannon for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. You kind of got your breakout. You worked on the show. And many consider this show as one of the greatest TV shows, if not the greatest, The Wire.
Right.
Based in Baltimore.
Yes.
How did that role come about?
The crazy thing, if you really a historian on The Wire and David Simon in Baltimore area, you know that Charles Dutton had a miniseries called The Corner. The Corner was before The Wire. And my relationship with The Wire was I played Greg on The Corner, heroin addict, on that show. And David Simon, if you watch any of the shows he's produced, or he's written, he is really loyal to people that worked with him before. So that kind of gave me a heads up on the opportunity to be on The Wire. But the crazy thing about The Wire was the role of Omar it came down to me and Michael on that road, on Omar.
Right.
Robert Colesbury, one of the executive producers of the Life, who's not there anymore. When I came on set, he said, you know, we had you heavily favored to play the role of Omar. But I had no idea. He said, but this character, Day Price, we thought there was going to be something special when to save you for this role. And if you really follow Wire, you notice a lot of people said, first season was all about the towers. Stringer Bear, Idris Elba, you know, Wood, and all those guys. The second season, it made a twist. It went from the towers to the docks about being at the shipyard. And that was because the Baltimore Tourism Board was complaining that every time they have a show that's in Baltimore, there's always depicted as being a seedy, drug-ridden. And I'm like, when do I something more downtown? They ain't right. They call it volleyball for they don't call it for no reason. So they had to switch, because my character is sent to Clay Davis' assistant. I got paid $30,000, right? I had to give it back. And then next season, my character wasn't in the story arc. So once they switched it to the docks, my character got lost. David Simon, who's really loyal to people that's on that show. He wanted to pay like
that felt pretty good.
My character, he brought me back, but that was an amazing experience to be on that show.
The role that you played, how easy was it for you to play that role?
Clay Davis? No role is easy for me to play because I'm more connected to stand-up than acting.
Right.
And to be quite honest, that time I don't even know what I'm doing. You know, it was one scene, McNulty, he was one of the actors in The Wire. He was the director too. So it was one scene when I had to snitch on Clay Davis, right? And I was feeling uncomfortable. I was like, what emotion do I want to have? So I was playing it like kind of nervous, like, oh no. And he came into me and was actually like, I don't know if you're doing it right. He said, I really want to put this guy down. You want to lock him up. I said, motherfucker, I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, you don't snitch. Yeah. And you don't snitch like he's a jolly fella. You know, like, oh, it's that guy. Put him away. You got to act like that's the hardest shit in the world. You're like, oh, man. I don't want to snitch, but I don't want to go to jail because I don't want to snitch. And then I think that he was like, okay, I think you might be right. And then he got to snitch. Yep. But that show, man, even though it was so interesting because, and I never took a class, I never been trained. The furthest thing, the most training I've ever done, I got a monologue book, I had to practice in the mirror different monologues. And the crazy thing was, even when I got the role of Bread on the corner, I had no idea how that happened.
Right.
I was in an audition for like 30 minutes, and the cast director, Jackie Brown Carmen, she's one of the biggest black cast directors in New York. I was eating in this audition. And I wanted to be like, I'm all right, whatever. And she said, Donnell, God is in the room, you good, take your time. I was like, well, God, you need to come right now. I did no audition, and I didn't think maybe I said, that's past me. And I booked the role. And when I went on set, the first thing I asked David Simon, I said, how did y'all pick me? I was like, I really thought I bombed that role. I didn't know what was going on. And he said, Donnell, we like the fact that you threw the lines away and you did your own thing. The reason why I threw the lines away is because I didn't remember them. Yo, I didn't know shit. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So, and then another thing, because I was playing a heroin addict.
Yes.
And I think that everybody, and I don't be reading my script like I'm supposed to, everybody looked at that character as a heroin addict. And I'm pretty sure everybody looked at the stereotype of meaning like the dope kid and everything. And I didn't do that because I didn't know. I just thought it was a cool dude.
Right.
And what they wanted to see was, who was this guy when he wasn't high? Was he that funny guy in the neighborhood if he wasn't high? So, you know, I guess God was in the room. I got that. I built a relationship with those people at HBO, and it led to me being on the line.
When you were doing The Wire, did you realize it was going to be so well received and it would be the phenomenon that it became?
I didn't. I had no idea. But what I did know, I was doing shit nobody else was doing. You know, I was Def Jam Comedy. I probably was one of the only comics that was on Def Comedy Jam and then on a critically acclaimed show.
Right.
I didn't predict it to be that big, but it just took on a life of its own. I mean, Idris Elba, you know, came from working the door at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City to being one of the biggest stars in the country. And I gotta tell you something, I hated that when he was on the show. And the reason why, because they had these women called String of Bellettes or something.
Yeah.
He had fans everywhere, right? And then I would meet girls, and they were like, "What's he on the wife?" And I thought it was my time to shine, right? They're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Could you introduce us to String of Bell?" I'm like, "You ain't String of Bell, right?" So when they killed him, I was like, "Yeah, where your man at now?" He's dead.
How you celebrate man getting killed?
Man, because he was taking all the girls. And I was so happy that he just really doubled down and became one of the biggest international stars in the world. So he won that fight.
Yeah, he fell back.
It was good. All those guys, man, we had like a dope unit. Like I was still doing stand up then. And can you imagine? I would do like a little hole in one spot in Brooklyn and have half the cast of the Wire show up. It was crazy, and nobody knew how big that show would be and how last was long. We talking about. There was an article in Entertainment Weekly, and they said 2 of them, they had 100 best shows in history of TV. And Chappelle Show and The Wire ranked. And I was like, you actually start to see what people remember about. If nothing else, if I'm not a part of anything else, at least I can say I was a part of what people are going to talk about. They're going to be talking about that shows until the end of time.
Yeah, and 100 years of television, I've been on 2 of the biggest shows.
They might remember part of Def Jam, but those shows they remember. And I was doing both.
Well, if you didn't know, it's back day today.
What do you remember about Eagles? Because that was early in his career.
You know already.
He was just an up-and-comer just like yourself.
I remember he took all the damn girls. That's why. I'm still traumatized. And then he would double down with that punk ass English accent. You want to go to the boy hotel? And I got to be like, yo, son, y'all trying to go? It was a whole different thing. But I say, one of the most humble guys, and people don't understand, they hear about him DJ or whatever. I think Idris is, and still to this day, is as passionate about DJing as he is as an actor.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, he takes the DJing super serious.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you first heard that accent, you like, I saw you at Carolina Comedy Club, bro. You got into it. You don't talk like that.
When I heard first heard the accent, I wanted to keep talking because I want to use it.
Oh, you was that?
I wanted somebody to come to the Glory Hotel. I wanted somebody to come to the Glory Hotel. I'm like, oh man, he tall, dark, handsome, and accent. I ain't got a chance, man. And I was just starting my acting journey at that time, so I was out of
But if you think about, if you go back and look at Idris and the role that he played, you look at that Idris and Snowfall. How did the British actors get all these gangster roles?
I mean, they're students of the craft. I know it's some talk about get on the road, but you got to just imagine the level you have to be. All those guys, they got to get dialect coaches.
Yeah, because I didn't know that the guy at Snowfall, I did not know he was British.
No.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
I don't know if they're working for cheaper amount of money. I don't know. And then that part of it, but for you to be to embody these characters and to do it in another accent, there's got to be something to be said about this skill set. But at the end of the day, we complain about everything. But at the end of the day, man, the best man win.
Right.
You know?
Because a lot of people they get upset like, hold on, you got black actors right here in America, and then you bring British actors to play a black American.
Right.
Why not just hire black Americans to play a?
Because they might not have been the best person for the job.
Okay.
I don't understand. This business is about competition.
Right.
And like what you said, like people complain. I know this may sound crazy. Work harder.
Right.
Everything ain't gonna be for you.
Right.
You gotta keep going. This whole notion, first off, Hollywood's fucked up.
Okay.
The people's perception of it is different. At the end of the day, a lot of people do is sit back and complain. I say pull yourself up by the bootstraps, work harder. If you didn't get that goal, keep going. This field is a job where you're going to be rejected 95% of the time. This is a job where you're going to be broke most of the time. When people come up to me like, Daniel, you got any advice or words of wisdom, I always tell them, first off, you got to be able to be happy being broke. In this business, if you can't be happy being broke, you might as well get out of it, because you're going to be broke most of the time you're doing it. If you can find a happy place, if you could, and I say in my case, when I first started, I wasn't making no money. When I would do give it for $30 and get a 5-pound bag of potatoes, some bologna, some cheese, and some eggs. I'm like, I got food for the rest of the week. I was happy because I knew if I keep on, eventually it's going to happen.
Right.
And not everybody, but for the most part, you're going to get a shot. You're going to get the game. But what you do with it when you get the game, and that's what's going to separate you from everybody else to sit back complaining and not doing nothing. And looking at everybody succeed and complaining about it.
When you became successful, you did The Wire, you did the Chappelle Show, you still doing this.
I wasn't successful in it. I was working. I wasn't successful. That's the illusion people have on TV.
They think you everybody think it's big dollars though.
Yeah.
You want to
Let me tell you something, man. When I was doing Chappelle Show, and the thing about it was, you heard me say I'm rich bitch at the end of the show, right?
You were rich?
Yo, I go to restaurants, that bill would come, they would be like, we thought you was rich, bitch. I said, I'm nice. But at the same time, Shannon, I knew I was positioning myself for success.
Right.
When I was doing Chappelle Show, and I see people on this platform, that's what I understand about actors and people. You signed something.
Right.
You put your name on the dotted line.
Right.
You started this show.
We just finishing up.
It just so happened that the show blew up.
Right.
Right? Your contract already signed. So you entitled to all that money? No. The only person in the history of this business has ever really tested the industry and said, you know what? I know I did do a contract, but I know my value is, and y'all still want to step up. Dave Chappelle.
Right.
The only one. He forced the hand of Comedy Central. And I think it was very admirable what Comedy Central did, because they could have said, man, this is what he's supposed to pay you. But you know, when I was doing Chappelle Show, I was making $500 a sketch. And people already know the blogs like, oh, they should have. But the show wasn't established. Mm-hmm. I knew the best thing I could do, that was just standard. That's what you got as an actor. But I knew me working that episode, me getting 3 minutes of camera time, now I can go out and get my money on the road.
Right.
Even when I was really working the first year, me, Charlie, nobody on that show was making a lot of money. But I was like, wait a minute, stop catch up. Everywhere we go, we have big things, bitch, and everything, right? We know we popping, but our bank accounts ain't popping. And I was like, we gotta do something. I came up with the idea. I said, we need to do a tour. I said, let's do a tour called I'm Rich Bitch Tour, right? And at that time, I forget the name of the agency. There was a young agent named Mike Berkowitz, right? He was a very young agent. My manager brought to him. I said, I want to do this tour. Charlie's name is popping. Mm-hmm. It was nowhere you go, you didn't have Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy never did comedy before, which I found very strange to be around all these people, but never tested yourself. So I said, I want to do this tour. I'm the first person who took Charlie Murphy on stage. And I bullied him to do it. Because Charlie, man, is a funny guy, talk a lot of trash. And whenever I want to show him, I was like, yeah, you tough in the streets, but put a microphone in your face and see what happened. I knew he was trying to get some money. He did his first open mic. All I needed him to do was have 10 minutes. Bill Burr, at the time, and no disrespect, because you see what happened to Bill Burr. At the time, Bill Burr probably was a comedian, was headlining probably $1,000 a week. And I'm not saying no disrespect, but you knew anytime somebody saw Bill, you know he was going to pop. But that's just where he was then. And I said, okay, I get Charlie Wood 10 minutes. I bring Bill Burr on the show, and Bill Burr wasn't a draw, but he was a funny act. And I said, we're going to do this tour. Yes, I can put anybody else on the tour, give them a little bit of money. I said, no, we want to go this way, 3-way split, and we did our Rich Bitch tour, and we made some deep, probably at that time in my career, the most money we ever made.
Finishing up.
Charlie started to know what
one more set of this, and we gonna call it a day.
Bill
call it a night.
He knew that he was about to take off, but we had to make adjustments. That 500 episode was giving us thousands of dollars on the weekend, and that was at that time that was the most money any of us had ever seen.
Right. Was he the first white comic that you actually that you went on tour with?
Yeah, but Bill Burr, his story was like, you know, Bill Burr, when he came to New York, he was one of the few white comics that did every room. He did the mainstream room, and then he did the chitlin circuit. And I think part of his, you know, he's a very powerful, strong comic. Yeah. But I think he got a lot of edge being able to go into those rooms that everybody feared. and just take control of it. But Bill Burr has always been funny guy.
How difficult is that when you're young, you're a black comedian? Because I've always asked, and I ask this a lot of times, do you write a set, like I'm gonna be in a predominantly white audience, do I write a set portrait? I'm gonna be in from a predominantly black audience, do I write a set portrait? How difficult is that to do when you're young enough? Because obviously once you get established, you go anywhere.
It's a tough thing because usually when you first start showing, you write your voice is usually performed for.
Right.
So I do the chicken circuit.
That's a wrap.
You go through the way I speak, certain things.
If you made this popular video, please consider subscribing, commenting.
And even with
Until next time.
helps in my accent from DC, coming to New York.